Hello and welcome back. So it's about 4 minutes to 12, so I don't know if to say good morning or good afternoon, but welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about the Gibson 2021 Goldtop 50's standard build. We are winding down to an end now. So far we have pretty much got it done. I'm waiting on these Klusen Revolution style locking tuners here, because this had tuners on it like the ES. So everybody likes Grovers and they usually upgrade to a Grover. And what happens when you upgrade to a Grover when it had Klusens is you have that ugly imprint of the Klusen and an extra screw hole. So I've been looking really hard to try to find a better alternative to the older Klusen ones. So I got these ones here, which are locking. I went to the, when I touched it, there we go. So you have to go to the picture one by one, I guess. But anyways, long story short, they're kind of like a Grover style, just like the gold ones here. The only difference between the chrome ones that I bought for this and these ones are not locking. So these ones just have the locker right on top of here, but it's a Grover style tuner on a Klusen platform. So I think that will be a really nice upgrade for this while keeping it still in the factory bone stock specification with the Klusen tuners, but upgrading them to the Grover style with a locker on it. I think that's going to be really slick. So once those show up, we've had really bad snowstorm here. Yesterday we got 26.5 inches of snow. So things have slowed down. I should have had the tuners by now, but a lot of stuff is in delay due to weather, and that's across many states. So as soon as those show up, we'll be able to get the strings on it and intonate it and be done with that part. Today I just finished up the wiring on it. Make sure the switch tip, that's why I got this blanket here. I don't want the pressure on the switch tip. So anyhow, I finally got the wiring done in it. So here are the Honeybee paper and oil, made in America, 0.022 microfarad caps. This is wired just like the wood in the 50s. I did a lot of research with my wife last night, and she found that every single 1959 Les Paul that was wired up with bumblebees, the striped end, which is your foil end, and it's also the last end that is either poured or closed or soldered, depending on what type of capacitor you have. The end that was closed last, they say, is always the foil end, and it makes a huge difference in a polarized capacitor. You always want the foil end, your outside shielded end, to go to the grounded side of the guitar, which is always the tone pot. So in 1959, every single Bumblebee capacitor was soldered in this way with the foil side to the tone cap, or tone pot. So if you guys are looking around, I tell you what, I've looked everywhere, and there's nothing on YouTube that really tells you that, because what they'll do is they'll just solder in another yeah, I can't even talk. They'll solder in another capacitor and they'll bang around on their guitar. They don't really show you soldering it or what direction they're putting in. Now the non-polarized ones, like the little ceramic discs, they don't make a difference. You can stick them in there any direction you want. Orange drops, brown drops, blue drops, navy drops, all those kind of capacitors, you also have to do this too as well, and figure out which side is the foil side and put it to the grounded side, or the more grounded side of your circuit. So that was a very interesting thing to find out that I did not know, and I could not find out on YouTube, that there's a huge difference between polarized and non-polarized caps and the directions that they go. So just make sure that if you do a paper and oil, you put the shielded side to the grounded side, no matter how you're running it in your circuit. Also, this here is just a piece of shrink tubing I used to cover the grounded part of this cable, or wire I should say. Man, my phone is just not cooperating right now. So anyways, everything in it is all pushback wire. There is no plastic wiring in this whatsoever. All the way to the three-way switch, pickups, everything is vintage pushback style. And I did the absolute very best that I could on keeping the solder joints nice and clean. I don't know if you'll be able to see them or not. My ground looks a little boogery, but I don't think it's bad. Let me see if I can get around to a solder joint here. Yeah, the caps are kind of in the way. Well, you'll have to take my word for it. I've got the very least minimal amount of solder on every connection so it stays clean and looks factory, because I am real meticulous and I really wanted to try to make this look just like it would have if it came right out of Gibson. So there are the Honeybee capacitors, 0.022 microfarad, plus 5%, 200 VDC, paper and oil, made in USA. So if you guys are interested in those, you can check those out and get them at Nacho Music in California. They have one on eBay. They're like $18.95, but they're only 14 bucks at Nacho Music. And then here's the three-way switch. I'm going to leave it open until it's completely done, so we do the final video on it. We can take one more last peek inside of the guitar in case there's people out there that haven't seen it. We'll have one more video on it, and that of buttoning it up and putting all the hardware on it and the tuners. I also got the owner's manual, a warranty card, and a blank COA that I will get filled out for this as well, and we'll do all that in the second to the last, because the very last video we do on this, once it's all together and done, we'll hook it up to an amp and get some playtime on it and see how it sounds, because this does have the Memphis historic spec pickups in it that come out of 345s, 335s. That's the only way you get these pickups, is if you find somebody like I did that dissected them out of their semi-hollow body. So we have 1950s Goldtop standard here, 2021, and I'm trying my hardest to go 50s on it. So we got the Memphis historic spec pickups in it, the Switchcraft three-way switch, all vintage wired, pushback wired all the way down here. These are all matched pots, Gibson 300K linear tapers. We got, I tested them all, and we got 284, 284, 284, and 285. So they're all really closely matched. So I can't wait to hear what this sounds like. So just stay tuned. We're about to kick the tires on this. It's coming to an end. We're closing in on it. It's almost done. Had the tuners showed up today, it would be done, and get that COA filled out. It's going into Costa Rican case. And I know you guys are thinking, oh, Costa Rican case, that's not a Lifton. No, this is still a Costa Rican case though. And I'll explain that in another video with the different cases, but it's a really nice case that's going to go in it. Everything in this will be brand spanking new, except for the exception of the pickups. And everything in this will be OEM Gibson, with the exception of the caps. So stay tuned. I really look forward to getting this done and letting you guys check it out and hear it, because I'm trying really hard to give it that 50s vibe with no plastic wiring in it, and the vintage type caps and pots and pickups. So we'll see how it turns out. The only thing that's not really going to be 50s is these tuners here, which, I mean, they are Klusens and they are the shape, but with the upgraded gears and the locker in it, it's a 2021. It's not a 50s. So what's that going to hurt? And it's going to improve it greatly. So stay tuned. We're almost done with that. We're closing in, and the next video you see, it will be all strung up and just about ready to go. So till then, don't forget to like and subscribe.